Hey everybody, it's me, MiaFran again. Welcome back to my channel and to another Fruits Basket review video. Again, I apologize for the air conditioning in the background, but it's hot. I'm not turning my air conditioner off, just so I can record without like the sound in the background. Yeah, it's summer. I live in the desert. It's really hot. And I do apologize again for this week being a 2-episode video, but it's just sometimes I get really tired, like too tired to record, and then I've been having some health problems, personal health problems. I'm trying not to let that ruin like me wanting to make videos or anything or streaming, but sometimes it does kind of take up a lot of my time. It's also why the podcast hasn't been posted yet or finished editing, but I'm gonna get back into doing that, and I do apologize we haven't had a podcast in a while. But you know, just personal health reasons for me and some of the others, so it's just, you know, trying to get through it all. But regardless, we do have a Fruits Basket video today. We're going to be talking about episodes 8 and 9, and they are entitled I'm Disappointed in You and What's Your Name? So we're just going to go into synopsis here, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. And I'm going to try not to make it too long, just because it's a lot of things going on in Fruits Basket. We are coming to the end here. We've only got about like 4 episodes left, I believe, 4 or 5. If they're gonna have only like 13 episodes, I think. If I'm wrong about that, just let me know in the comments. But we're almost at the end. We're basically on the final part of season 3. Basically, we gotta wrap all of these things up. But anyway, episode 8 is a very heavily Kyo-centered episode. He actually just kind of narrates the entire episode almost. But we gotta come back where we left off in the previous episode, in episode 7, where Toru wants to tell Kyo something. She's gonna tell him that she loves him. And we basically find out via flashback how Kyo knew Toru's mother. So when Kyo was a kid, one day he doesn't want to go home. This is right after he leaves his parents' house and goes to live with Master. And he doesn't want to go home from school. You know, he's just kind of embarrassed still, you know, still trying to get used to it. And he's, you know, chilling in this construction site, and Kyoko, Toru's mom, sees him there, and she kind of strikes up a conversation with him because, you know, he's a little kid all by himself, and, you know, she probably just wants to make sure he gets home okay. You know, she's a nice lady, she's a mother, so, you know, she wants a child who looks the same age as her daughter to, you know, be safe. So he kind of doesn't want to talk to her, but they kind of strike up a friendship. You know, he does come back every so often to talk to her, and he learns about Toru. He learns that, you know, Kyoko has a daughter named Toru, and learns a bit about her. And, you know, he becomes a little interested. You know, he kind of wants to become like part of their family. Like, it sounds pretty nice to him. You know, he doesn't really have that at home. And then we find out that he did promise Kyoko when Toru went missing that one time. He's like, you know, I'm going to find her for you. I promise you. And, you know, Kyoko's like, thanks. I appreciate it. He does go looking for Toru, but he doesn't find her because, as we know, we've seen in previous episodes, and we know what happens, is that Yuki is the one who leads Toru back home. And Kyoko goes to tell Kyo, hey, you know, it's okay, you don't have to look for her anymore. She was found, she followed this boy, and she's carrying the hat, and we all know that Kyo knows whose hat that is, it's his, but we know that Yuki has the hat now, and of course, Kyo is like, well, I don't want it anymore, because he touched it, it's his, like, he's got all his on it. So he kind of explains that, really after all of that kind of stuff, you know, he kind of just blamed Yuki for everything, even though it wasn't really Yuki's fault. Whenever bad things happen to Kyo, he just kind of blames Yuki, because that's like the easy route, right? You know? You just blame somebody else for your problems. That's why, you know, you're going through a tough time. Well, it's because this dude is always around, or he's always getting in the way. He gets everything he wants. So if somebody's getting what they want, I'm not going to get what I want. kind of mentality that Kyo has. And, excuse me, we then see, after that, you know, Kyo is like, I didn't see her again after that, talking about Toru's mom. And he also makes a comment of, like, you know, I only saw Toru one time. It's when he sees her in the window. But, you know, he does say, you know, I did wonder about them, and I would wonder and think, like, I hope, you know, they're doing good. And, you know, he still cared about them and everything. That was during the time when he did still go see Kyoko, or when he didn't see her that often. But then, of course, we fast forward to, you know, more recently. We see that Kyo is, you know, a teenager now. And he says that he recognized Kyoko on the street, like he saw her, and he's like, he knows that's her. And he was gonna, you know, say something to her. They're waiting for the crosswalk. It's at like a corner across the street. And you see a car going kind of crazy, driving kind of weird. And Kyo sees it, you know, a bunch of the people on the street, they see it, and, you know, they move out of the way. They see a car driving recklessly, and Kyoko doesn't notice it. And Kyo is gonna reach out to her to, like, you know, call her name or say something to her, pull her back, but then he explains, if I had pulled her back and kind of like held her against me, kind of like a hug, I would have transformed and my secret would have been out. So I didn't save her. I didn't risk my own life for hers. I saved myself instead of her. And so he tells Toru, like, I am the reason your mom is dead, because I didn't save her. And we just see that he runs away from her dead body, or, you know, she's bloody on the ground. But I'm just kind of like, where did the car go? I guess it just hit her and drove off. I don't know. But he also says that he heard her say, I will never forgive you. That's what she tells him. But he tells her, like, you know, my mom also died, but she, like, you know, his mother killed herself. He's like, it's because of me. I'm the reason they're both dead. So he tells Toru, you know, I'm disappointed in you. And he tells her that kind of just to, you know, basically get her off of his case, even though he doesn't want her to get off his case. He tells her he's disappointed in her because, you know, hey, maybe that's gonna make her feel bad, so she won't come running after me, so she won't try to pursue me. Because he even tells her, like, do you love me? Well, he asks her that, not tells her, but he asks her, do you love me? And he's kind of telling her, like, it's a waste of time to love me. And he also makes a comment of, like, it was stupid of me to think that I could be with her and that I could love her. And Toru kind of tells him, like, if you really think that my mom is the kind of person who would say something like that to you, then fine, you know, you can think that. But she still wants to be with him. Like, she's still struggling with this realization of, like, I'm leaving my mom behind as the most precious person to me, and I'm choosing somebody else because I've fallen in love with them. Which, you know, everybody goes through. And I guess it's more of an impact because her parent is not present. Her mom's not there. It's not like she can, you know, go back and visit her mom and talk to her, have a conversation with her, you know, while being with Kyo. Kind of like how people, you know, if your parents are alive and you have a significant other or somebody you're in love with, you can still go back and, you know, spend time with your parents and such. And it just, it kind of brings her death more into the picture, I guess. You know, it's very hard for Toru. She struggles with the feeling of, like, I'm gonna leave my mom behind if I go forward with Kyo. Like, she feels like she's gonna forget her mom, which, you know, that's pretty sad. But, you know, she wants to be happy, and being with Kyo makes her happy, and she wants him to know that she loves him. And so, episode 8, we kind of left off with Kyo running away, and Yuki kind of notices, and he goes after Kyo. 'Cause he's like, wow, that idiot. And Toru's crying, and it's still raining. And then we see Akito has run all the way to Shigore's house in the rain after stabbing Kureno, and she still has the knife. So, presumably she's gonna go stab Toru, and that's where episode 8 ends. I do like that this was a very, Kyo-centered episode. We finally learned his relationship with her mother, with Toru's mother, and it was just an interesting look into their relationship and how even her mother's death affected Kyo. Because here's this lady who was just, trying to strike up a conversation with this kid one day, and it became something bigger, and then, the decisions that Kyo made, he kind of feels like that, of course it affected, how things went, but I think he's putting too much of that burden on himself. Of course, he already feels like I'm a burden to everybody. So, my fate is decided and I'm going to accept it, which is why I can't be with her. So, very sad stuff. But moving on to episode 9, we start off where we left off in episode 8. Akito comes up to Toru and basically tells Toru, you've kind of isolated me from everyone. All of their love is gone to you. That's supposed to be the affection I'm supposed to get as God in this relationship of the Zodiacs. But all of the Zodiac members' attention is gone to Toru because she brings everybody together. And Toru just kind of lets Akito, vent a little bit. Akito does cut Toru on the arm with the knife. Because she's trying to reach out to Akito, kind of help her. Because Toru understands Akito. And Akito doesn't want to hear it. Toru tells Akito, I know why you feel the way you do. You're scared, you're afraid. And Akito kind of doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want Toru to be right. But eventually she does kind of get through to her. And Akito is kind of like, what is happening? And she drops the knife, runs into the forest. Toru goes after Akito. And they kind of have more of a little conversation after Toru catches up with Akito. And Toru, tells Akito, we can start over, let's be friends. You can start over with me. You can start over your relationships with everybody and just, start anew, be good, because Akito finally, after all this time, realized that all of the terrible things that she's done and said has just pushed everyone away from her that she didn't want to push away. But, since she was brought up in this mentality of you're so loved already, everyone's supposed to love you, you are the center of the universe basically for the Zodiac members. If they don't love you, something's wrong with them. But the methods that she went through to try to earn affection from everybody just didn't work. Obviously she used violence and abuse and blackmail, I guess, basically. But Toru used kindness and her words and her friendship, and everyone just kind of gravitated toward her. And so she kind of wants Akito to start over with that too, be the mediator. If I can become friends with Akito, maybe I can patch up the relationships between Akito and everybody else. So Toru says, here, we'll start over. Hi, my name's Toru Honda. What's your name? I think we should be friends. And she reaches her hand out, and Akito reaches to grab it, and then the ground just crumbles beneath Toru. They're on this cliff, and you can see it's the same cliff that kind of had that rock slide avalanche that buried her tent. Her tent is still half buried in the dirt. And she falls down from a very tall height, and it hits the ground, and she's not moving. And so Akito is like, oh shit, And she runs back to the house, and Shigure's there, and Yuki's there because Shigure runs into Yuki when Yuki goes to look for Kyo. And she basically says, like, help, somebody help. She's crying, screaming for help, and they're like, what happened? What's going on, Akito? And she's like, she fell. The ground just fell beneath her, and she's freaking out. And Shigure's like, who fell? And she says, Toru fell. And Yuki goes to get Toru, and then Shigure kind of makes a comment of like, you didn't push her, did you? And Agito's like, no, I didn't push her. So they call Shigure calls Hattori. Turns out Kureno is also he's gonna live. Thank fuck. Kureno's gonna live. My bird boy, he's fine. And Yuki finds Toru, and then Kyo also hears Akito screaming for help, so he goes and runs back. He sees Toru on the ground. He's like, oh my god, like, what's happening? This is not how it was supposed to happen. He basically is like, what the hell? What have I done? I shouldn't have left. And Yuki doesn't say anything to Kyo. He just kind of stands there, and then he kind of leaves after a little bit. But we hear Toru's like, kind of like a voiceover, and they make it really seem like she's dead. I mean, obviously she's not dead. She does wake up. She's kind of got knocked out for a little bit, but she's injured. She's bleeding, from the head. She hit her head pretty hard on the ground. And in her little voiceover, she kind of says, like, it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. It's fine. She finally says, I love you, Kyo. She finally kind of admits it. She, I can't tell if she said that part out loud or if it was just like a voiceover. But he kind of gets the message regardless, and he kisses her, which I did not remember that happening in the manga, but it's been a while, as I've mentioned several times before. So I was kind of like, I don't remember that happening, but it was cute to see. And then we kind of cut to later on. We see Akito is outside of the hospital. It's Kureno and Toru are at the Soma hospital. And Momiji sees Akito outside. Akito's crying. And Momiji's kind of like, well, why are you crying, bitch? Basically. And Akito just says, she's like, I'm so angry at myself. Like, why did Kureno forgive me? Because we see that she goes to visit him and he comforts her. She kind of doesn't understand, like, I was so terrible to him. Why did he not get upset at me? Why did he just forgive me? Why was he comforting me when he's the one who's hurt and I'm the one who hurt him? Like, she doesn't understand, and it makes sense, Again, she finally does, what she does understand is that she really screwed everybody up with the way she acted, and she kind of realizes, like, I'm a monster. Like, what have I done? This isn't what I was supposed to do. This is not what I meant to happen. And so, you kind of see that, like, even Toru kind of affected her a little bit, even before she kind of said, like, let's be friends, let's just start over. And Momiji just kind of, again, his curse is broken, so he kind of doesn't really have a say in, like, in this race or whatever. But, he does try to tell Akito, like, hey, at least you're coming to your senses. Finally, stop crying. And then Akito is kind of reluctant to, like, go visit Toru. But Momiji kind of tries to cheer Akito up, and he's gonna tell her that story that he told in, like, season 1. And he's like, if you enjoy the story, then you're definitely I definitely think you should go talk to Toru, because if you enjoy the story, you're gonna enjoy talking and being around Toru. So then we see Akito go and visit Toru, and we don't hear any dialogue between them, but you can just see it visually. She goes in the room, and Toru, kind of invites her in, like, hey, hey, come sit with me. And that's where that ends. And I will admit I did cry at the end of this episode. I guess it was just because I felt that emotion of this dumb bitch Akito realizing that she messed things up. Like, it started with her, like, you know, I mean, after a certain point, like, you know, she's responsible for all the things that happened. Because the way she was raised, her upbringing, her parents, just that whole thing really kind of set the stage for, you know, how she turned out and the actions that she took to get to this point of injuring a lot of the Zodiac members almost like fatally, almost maiming or disfiguring them as well, and keeping people hidden and not actually trying to understand them. And I mean, you know, it's character growth, and I guess I was just overcome with emotion just watching this character growth of a character that I don't even like still. I guess it's Fruits Basket's affecting me more than I thought it would in terms of revisiting the story, animated. But again, we're getting close to the end because now Toru and Akito are on, you know, more friendly terms than before. You know, Toru is still willing to have a friendship with Akito, help her start over. So, and Akito clearly is willing to go through with that. And so, you know, it's gonna be exciting to see the conclusion. I'll probably bawl my eyes out during the final episode, but I think that these two episodes were very well paced. I thought the visuals were clear, concise. There was nothing that I had a problem with in terms of the way the story flowed or storytelling. I watched the dub. The dub was fantastic as always. Yeah, I think this is gonna be one of the greats, you know? It already is one of the greats, but in terms of just like a full complete series, it's definitely gonna be one that I think everybody should watch, regardless of whether you like romance or comedy or drama. I think what Fruits Basket really is about at the end of the day is just relationships in general, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships or familial relationships. It's about coming together and finding your family and learning who your family is and becoming your own person and who you are. And it's really just, it's been a fun ride. Like, I'm gonna be really sad when it's finally over, which is, again, very soon. But if you guys do like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you already haven't. I really appreciate if you would do that. And I would also appreciate if you left a comment here on this video. What did you think of these two episodes? What was your favorite part of each episode? And, you know, just give me your thoughts, you know. Do you agree with what I have to say? You know, what do you think is the best part about the series in terms of what it's about, what it's trying to say, maybe the characters or the character development? Again, I still don't like Akito, but the character development was great. You know, if a character development of a character I don't like makes me emotional, then, you know, definitely doing something right. You're affecting me in ways I never thought possible. But if you also enjoy unboxings, other anime reviews, gacha pulls, and gacha games like Obey Me, Shining Live, and Mr. Love Queen's Choice, you can also check out videos of those that I've done here on my channel. And you can also check me out on Twitch. I stream every so often random PS4 and Switch games mostly, but I also do play some mobile games on my Twitch channel. I also have a Twitter if you want to follow me and read all the dumb shit that I post. And you can also support me on Patreon if you want. You're not obligated or required to, but I would really appreciate it. Everything's in the description below. the Patreon levels start at just $1 a month. So if you want to, you know, check out some bonus stuff or just support my future YouTube and streaming endeavors, you can go ahead and do that. Plus, you get your name on the screen, like you can see some names right now. So special shout out to both Anime Palooza and Elizabeth for being the best patrons ever. And with all that said, guys, thank you so much. And of course, check out the podcast. That's also in the description below, the Twitter and the YouTube channel. And have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!